If you haven't read the book of Ruth recently, you will want to do that before you hear these letters. Then you may want to read it again after you have heard them. There are so many wonderful truths to be learned from Ruth. Don't miss the insights, humor, foreshadowing, and promises that apply to you as you hear these 5 epistles from Ruth to her mother-in-law, Naomi, as she experiences the true love of a kinsman redeemer. Based on Ruth 1 through 4 and Matthew chapter 1, verse 5.
First Epistle of Ruth to Naomi from Moab. Dear Naomi, I write this letter to you with great sincerity to try to set your mother's heart to rest. I know the days have been long for you as you have been driven from your own city of Bethlehem because of scarcity of bread for you and your family. The judgment of your God upon your house of bread has been severe. We have heard even as far away as Moab of how this fruitful land flowing with milk and honey has been turned to barrenness. Hunger has caused you to be a sojourner in our land. Many have been surprised that your Elimelech would choose enemy territory in which to retreat, as I'm sure you were as well. We are a peaceful people, though, and as you have discovered, rich in possessions. Our fertile area has been blessed with crops and herds. Being a major trade route from Syria to the Gulf of Aqaba has brought wealth and culture to our country. The valleys that are formed along the sea as they approach the desert border is a beauty of its own. But what am I saying? I'm writing to acquaint you with myself, not with my country. You have lived here long enough to have learned of the beauty and plenty of Moab. Your life seems to have been good here in Moab. As you have continued to keep the traditions of your religion and worshiped your God, you have been an example to many of us. I have longed for something in my life that would fill the emptiness of worship to a God that would require the sacrifice of another human being. Some have even offered young children to the unfair demands of Chemosh, the war god, the god the Moabites are compelled to worship. I am sure that you and your Elimelech never thought that as you came to sojourn in Moab, that your sons would join in affinity with the Moabites. But how could you have expected otherwise? You would know as your sons grew to marriageable age that they would not be able to be hidden from the young women of our city. I remember the first time I saw Mahlon. He and his brother Kilion had joined several of us as we sang and ate there in the courtyard. Even though he has not been well since you have been in our land, he seemed to be feeling good that night and participated in our times of fun. They didn't stay long and did nothing that would have embarrassed you. I know how your heart must hurt and your soul feel empty inside since Elimelech has passed. I can imagine how you would like to discuss with him what your sons are now intending, to bring wives from the ranks of the Moabites into your home. Since Mahlon has asked my father for my hand in marriage, I am sure that your heart has been in turmoil. I'm sure that the fact that your own son would choose a Moabite wife, those ancestors of Lot through a forbidden relationship, has not set well with you. And not just one son, but both of them will bring into your home the ideas of another belief system. And according to your laws, I understand we will not be allowed to worship at the tabernacle of your God. Your God sounds like one of highest moral standing. Perhaps I could learn of him and even come to the point where he would accept the worship of a foreigner. Naomi, I long to have in my life the unconditional love of a God who loves in return. I've longed to be a bride, to be accepted by a beloved. Please accept me into your home, Naomi, and allow me to learn of you and your God. I promise to love your son and care for him for better or worse, in sickness and in health. Longing for acceptance, Ruth.